Welcome to today's session, Lesson 21, Knowledge Gap Hypothesis. Introduction. The knowledge gap hypothesis is a communication theory that suggests that as mass media disseminate information, the gap in the knowledge between high and low socio-economic status individuals tend to widen over time. This hypothesis was first proposed by Tichenor, Donohue and Olien in 1970. The underlying idea is that media tend to be more effective in reaching and informing individuals with higher socio-economic status, while those with lower socio-economic status are less likely to be exposed to and understand the information. Objectives. Examine the role of mass media in shaping public opinion and its influence on widening knowledge gap between individuals of varying socio-economic statuses. Investigate how different socio-economic groups access the communication channels, contribute to disparities in exposure and comprehension of information disseminated by mass media. Analyze the process of information diffusion through mass media and its role in the emergence and widening of knowledge gaps over time. Identify and assess factors such as education, income and media use that contribute to the widening knowledge gap between individuals with higher and lower socio-economic status. Evaluate the implications of a widening knowledge gap on democratic principles, including political participation, decision making, and overall societal functioning. Basic premise about knowledge hypothesis. Mass media disseminate information on new topics or issues. There is a tendency for the gap in knowledge about those issues to widen between individuals of higher and lower socio-economic status. The hypothesis rests on the following key points. Mass media influence. Mass media plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion and awareness on various issues in society. Communication channels. Different socio-economic groups have varying access to utilization of communication channels such as newspapers, television and other media outlets. Information diffusion. When new topics or issues emerge, mass media disseminate information about them to the public. Knowledge gap emergence. Over time, as media coverage continues, a knowledge gap emerges between individuals with higher and lower socio-economic status. Factors contributing to the gap. Higher socio-economic status individuals are more likely to be exposed to comprehend and retain information due to factors such as education, income and media use. How will be the media coverage? The information about the public health issue is disseminated through various media channels such as newspapers, televisions and online platforms. Now let's understand how initial exposure is. As the public health information is released, individuals from both higher and lower socio-economic backgrounds are initially exposed to the information through the media. Now let's understand how socio-economic status differences. Individuals with higher socio-economic status are more likely to have better access to educational resources, subscribe to newspapers and have a variety of media sources at their disposal. They may also be more educated and have the means to stay informed. Individuals with lower socio-economic status, on the other hand, might have limited access to educational resources. They have fewer subscriptions to newspapers and may rely on a narrower range of media sources. Let's understand how knowledge gap emerges. Over time, the hypothesis suggests that the knowledge gap between these two groups will widen. This is because individuals with higher socio-economic status are more likely to actively seek out additional information, critically analyze the content, and discuss it within the social circles. And now let's understand the consequences. The widening knowledge gap can have consequences for decision making, behavior, and participation in public health initiatives. Individuals with higher socio-economic status may be more informed, more likely to take preventive measures, and better equipped to advocate their health needs. Information diffusion plays a crucial role in the knowledge gap hypothesis. It refers to the spread of information through various channels, particularly mass media, and how this dissemination influences the level of knowledge among different segments of the population. Media dissemination. Information diffusion begins with the media disseminating information about a particular issue, topic, or an event. Access to information. Different socio-economic groups may have varying levels of access to information sources. Individuals with higher socio-economic status often have better access to a diverse range of media outlets, educational resources, and digital platforms. Exposure to information. As the media cover a specific issue, individuals from various socio-economic backgrounds are exposed to the information. Understanding and retention. The knowledge gap hypothesis posits that individuals with higher socio-economic status are more likely to understand and retain the information due to factors like education, critical thinking skills, and familiarity with media consumption. In contrast, individuals with lower socio-economic status may find it challenging to comprehend, remember, or engage critically with the information, contributing to a gap in knowledge. Selective exposure and reinforcement. Individuals tend to engage with information that aligns with their existing beliefs and values. This phenomena, known as selective exposure, can lead to the reinforcement of existing knowledge gaps. Those with higher socio-economic status may actively seek out additional information, reinforcing their understanding of issue. Communication networks. Social networks also play a role in information diffusion. Individuals often discuss and share information within their social circles. Higher socio-economic status individuals may be part of networks that actively discuss and exchange information, further enhancing their understanding. Lower socio-economic status individuals might have fewer opportunities for the discussions, contributing to the knowledge gap. Cumulative effect. Over time, the cumulative effect of information diffusion, selective exposure, and reinforcement can lead to widening knowledge gap between different socio-economic groups. Factors contributing to the knowledge gap. Education. Higher levels of education are associated with better information processing skills, critical thinking, and the ability to understand complex topics. Individuals with higher socio-economic status often have greater access to quality education, which can equip them with the skills needed to comprehend and retain information disseminated through the media. Income and resources. Economic resources play a crucial role in determining access to information. Higher income levels enable individuals to subscribe to newspapers, magazines, and other media outlets, providing a broader range of information sources. Wealthier individuals may also have access to digital devices and high-speed internet, facilitating active engagement with online information. Media use patterns. Higher socio-economic status individuals tend to have more active and diverse media use patterns. They may actively seek out information, read multiple news sources, and engage with a variety of media channels. Lower socio-economic status individuals might have more limited, relying on a narrower range of sources, which can limit their exposure to diverse perspectives. Digital literacy. Digital literacy, encompassing skills related to using technology and navigating online information, is crucial in modern information age. Higher social economic status individuals are more likely to possess higher level of digital literacy, allowing them to navigate online platforms, fact-check information, and critically evaluate sources. In contrast, someone with limited digital literacy might struggle to distinguish between reliable and unreliable information, widening the knowledge gap on particular issue. Information seeking behavior. Individuals with higher socio-economic status are more likely to engage in information seeking behavior actively. They may read in-depth articles, follow news updates, and participate in discussions. Those with lower economic status might exhibit less proactive information seeking behavior, leading to reduced exposure to comprehensive and diverse information. Another person with less proactive information seeking behavior might rely on occasional news headlines, leading to a knowledge gap in understanding the complexities of climate change. Cultural capital. The concept of cultural capital refers to the non-financial assets that contribute to social mobility and educational achievement. This includes knowledge, skills, and cultural awareness. Individuals with higher socio-economic status often possess greater cultural capital, enhancing their ability to engage with and understand information disseminated through the media. Social networks. Social networks play a role in information diffusion. Individuals with higher socio-economic status may belong to the networks where information is actively shared and discussed. Lower socio-economic status individuals may have limited access to information sharing networks, reducing their exposure to diverse perspectives. These discussions expose them to diverse perspectives. In contrast, those with fewer social connections might have limited exposure to alternative viewpoints, leading to a knowledge gap in understanding different sides of an issue. Selective exposure. Selective exposure refers to an individual tendency to seek out information that aligns with their existing beliefs and values. Higher socio-economic status individuals may actively seek diverse information, exposing themselves to a variety of perspectives. In contrast, individuals with lower socio-economic status may have limited exposure to alternative viewpoints. Knowledge gap widening. The knowledge gap widens for several interconnected reasons, and understanding these factors provides insights into the dynamics of information distribution in society. Educational disparities. Individuals with higher levels of education often have better information processing skills, critical thinking abilities, and foundation for understanding complex topics. As educational opportunities are not equally distributed, those with lower educational levels might struggle to comprehend and retain information, contributing to the knowledge gap. For example, a highly educated individual may read scientific literature on climate change, whereas someone with less education might find it challenging to navigate the technical details and nuances. Economic inequalities. Economic disparities play a significant role in determining access to information. Individuals with higher income levels can afford subscriptions to reputable news sources, attend educational events, and access to various media channels. Digital divide. The digital divide refers to the gap between those with access to modern information and communication technologies and those without. Higher economic status, individuals are more likely to access to high-speed internet, digital devices, and online educational sources. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, individuals with better digital access could participate in online learning and stay informed about public health guidelines. Selective exposure and confirmation bias. Selective exposure, where individuals seek information that aligns with their existing beliefs, contributes to the knowledge gap. Confirmation bias reinforces pre-existing views, preventing exposure to diverse perspectives. Media fragmentation. The proliferation of diverse media sources and channels can lead to information fragmentation. Individuals with higher socio-economic status might actively engage with a variety of media gaining diverse perspectives, while others may have limited exposure to comprehend information. Information overload. The sheer volume of information available can overwhelm individuals. Those with higher socio-economic status might have the resources and skills to navigate the information landscape effectively, while others may struggle to filter and process information. Individuals with higher information processing skills may manage information overload better than those with limited resources and skills. Social networks. Individuals tend to discuss and share information within their social circles. Higher socioeconomic status individuals may belong to the networks where information is actively shared, while others may have limited access to such networks. Cultural capital. Cultural capital, encompassing knowledge of arts, literature, and diverse cultural experiences, contributing to individuals' ability to understand complex societal issues. Disparities in cultural capital can widen the knowledge gap. Implications for democracy. The widening knowledge gap has significant implications for democracy, as it can impact the effective functioning of democratic societies in several ways. A widening knowledge gap can lead to unequal political participation. Individuals with higher socio-economic status possessing greater knowledge and understanding of political issues may be more likely to engage actively in civic activities, voting, and participate in public discourse. Democracy relies on an informed citizenry making decisions through the electoral process. A knowledge gap means that some citizens are better equipped to make informed decisions based on a deeper understanding of complex issues. Unequal information access can result in voters making decisions that may not align with their best interests or the broader welfare of society. Citizens with higher knowledge levels are more likely to influence policy decisions through informed advocacy and participation in political processes. The knowledge gap may lead to policies that do not adequately address the diverse needs of the entire population. The media play a crucial role in shaping public opinion and a widening knowledge gap, which can amplify the influence of media narratives. Individuals with higher socioeconomic status are more likely to critically engage with media content, while others may passively accept the information. The knowledge gap is closely linked to existing social and economic inequalities, as those with higher socioeconomic status accumulate more knowledge. They may further consolidate their advantages, reinforcing existing disparities in society. Democratic deliberation relies on the active exchange of diverse perspectives and ideas. A knowledge gap can limit the quality of public discourse by excluding certain voices and perspectives. In a society with a widening knowledge gap, democracy deliberation may be less robust and decisions may be made without considering a full range of viewpoints. Individuals with higher knowledge levels may be less susceptible to misinformation and manipulation. In contrast, those with lower levels of knowledge may be more vulnerable to manipulation through misinformation campaigns and biased messaging. Efforts to enhance education, improve media literacy, and reduce socio-economic disparities can contribute to a more equitable distribution of information and foster a healthier democratic environment. The knowledge gap hypothesis has faced criticisms and has undergone revisions over the years as scholars and researchers have sought to refine and expand the theory. Let us now analyze the criticism associated with knowledge gap hypothesis. Critics argue that the knowledge gap hypothesis places too much emphasis on traditional mass media like newspaper and television, and may not adequately account for the role of new media, social media, and online platforms. The original hypothesis assumes a passive audience that simply receives information from the media. Critics argue that individuals are active agents who selectively engage with media and actively seek information. The original hypothesis focuses primarily on the role of mass media in information dissemination. Critics argue that it overlooks the importance of interpersonal communication and social networks in shaping individuals' knowledge. Critics contend that the knowledge gap hypothesis may not sufficiently address broader cultural and structural factors that contribute to information disparities, such as systematic inequalities in education and access to resources. The original hypothesis may be seen as assuming a static view of knowledge, where once the gap widens, it remains persistent. Critics argue that knowledge is dynamic and subject to change over time. The knowledge gap hypothesis did not initially consider the digital divide, the gap in access to digital technologies and the internet. Critics argue that unequal access to online information sources is a significant factor in knowledge disparities. The original hypothesis primarily focused on information gap within specific societies. Critics argue that in a globalized world, cross-cultural differences and information disparities across nations should also be considered. The knowledge gap hypothesis may not explicitly address the role of media literacy in influencing how individuals engage with information. Let us now analyze revisions associated with knowledge gap hypothesis. Contemporary revisions acknowledge the evolving media landscape and consider the impact of digital technologies on information diffusion. Researchers explore how online sources and social networks contribute to knowledge disparities. Revisions of the knowledge gap hypothesis recognize the agency of individuals in seeking and interpreting information. The concept of selective exposure, where individuals actively choose media content aligned with their beliefs, has been integrated into the theory. Contemporary revisions consider the role of social networks and interpersonal communication in the knowledge gap process. The exchange of information within social circles and the impact of discussions on the individual knowledge levels are now integrated into the theory. Revised versions of the hypothesis acknowledge the importance of cultural and structural factors, incorporating them into the analysis of knowledge gaps. This includes considerations of socio-economic disparities, educational inequalities, and cultural capital. Contemporary revisions recognize the dynamic nature of knowledge. Researchers explore how new information and experiences can lead to shifts in knowledge levels and whether the gap widens, narrows, or fluctuates based on changing circumstances. Updated versions of hypothesis now incorporate the digital divide as a crucial factor, recognizing that disparities in access to online information sources contribute to the knowledge gaps. Recent revisions take a more global perspective, exploring how globalization and cross-cultural factors contribute to knowledge gap on the broader scale. This includes considerations of international information flows and disparities in the global information access. Some revisions emphasize the importance of critical media literacy in mitigating knowledge gaps. The lesson explains about the knowledge gap hypothesis, highlighting the role of mass media in disseminating information and its potential to widen knowledge gap between individuals of different socio-economic statuses. How factors like education, income, media use, digital literacy, and cultural capital emphasizing their impact on information processing. The implications for democracy are discussed, emphasizing the potential consequences of unequal knowledge distribution. The discussion concludes with an examination of criticism and contemporary revisions to the knowledge gap hypothesis, acknowledging the evolving media landscape and incorporating factors such as digital divide and global perspective.